Hi mates! Usually the winter holidays are regarded as time for recollection of what were your achievements during the past year. A lot of things changed on my rig this year. I decided to give you a short recap of what was done in year 23 and what you can expect appearing on my channel as materials early on next year. So without further ado, I give you the new year 23-24 SIMAGIC tour. Enjoy! So let's power it up and see what we have this year. The water cooling is gone because it died on me. This is the main key, which supplies 12 volts for my wind simulator and the ref counter. On the side of the rig is my support structure, which houses all power supplies as well as the motion platform servo drivers. Back there is hiding my subwoofer, which was recently added. The side structure features also a mouse pad and a water bottle holder. The VR headset has its own place on the side as well, right next to all my various controllers. Now let's take a quick peek at my steering wheel collection. Only one is Fanatic made, everything else is do-it-yourself. Some of them are still being made and the others are already operational. On the side is my DIY flight throttle. It turned out so good that I'm not even considering buying another one. It's also quite cheap and very easy project to print. It will have its own video at some point, of course. My model car collection didn't get any new members over the year. Hopefully next year I will make some more of those. At least I got some whited fancy JDM stickers from the Australian maker Hard Tuned. Here is one of the latest additions, my Renault Sport Replica steering wheel. I'm pretty happy with it, so let's move now to the rig itself. On the side of the seat you will notice I have a new exciter which I'm currently testing. It's much cheaper than the Titan ones and it's actually much better. More on this will come later down next year. I recently moved finally to triple monitors which are the same size. These are 27-inch and I also threw in Asus Bezel Free Kit, which makes the immersion even greater. And this is the final project I finished, which took me more than a year, but I'm quite happy how it turned out. Here on the side is a new project which is quite quick to print and turned out great. This is a central console modeled after the RS Clio rally car. Buttons are using keyboard switches and are backlit with a standard LED strip. This was the last piece of my central modular console and I'm pretty happy how it turned out. Bottom part is still used for power distribution on my 12 volt system, which are directly powered from the computer power supply. The shifter cluster is mostly the same, it's just better arranged, and I also made a 3D printed handle for my Husingwell handbrake to resemble the HD Sequential Pro shifter. It's topped up with an Aura full-size bass shaker which gives me engine and shifter effects. This is the main switch for the bass shaker and seatbelt tensioner. Both of them have their own power meter and separate breakers, so I can switch them off or on whenever I want to. Let's take a look in the additional subsystems which are around the central console. Here you can see my wind simulator which uses real car air vents from an Alfa Romeo. I also added a Stream Deck Mini for ease of use, which currently has only the 2 games I play. Someday I will configure it with more buttons. On the side are tucked also my small flag displays, which I never use as my games don't support them. Now let's take a quick look in the pedal box. It uses a complicated rail system to move forward and backward and be easily adjustable. It features a furniture damper which pushes it toward you. If you want to put it back, you press with your heels while operating the cable. I am still keeping the Next Level Racing V3 seat mover as it gives great immersion and it's easier to use it during night races than the full motion. It's much quieter and neighbor friendly. Also added finally a shaft extension to achieve this perfect field of view, which also required me to print this support structure which holds all my rally controls in the proper place. This is my Ford Puma replica wheel and let's see what it has. I put a 7-segment display there. It's addressable LEDs, and these are rotaries which are all supported by a DIY Fanatic emulator built around an Arduino chip. New addition to the rig is this Razer Leviathan version 2 soundbar, and it's quite good product and I'm very happy with the sound it makes. Fits quite neatly behind my central monitor. As you may have already noticed, I moved to a freestanding monitor mount. Here on the side you can see one of the actuators which lifts the monitor's up. And on my support structure hidden away is the control box for the monitor stand. The monitor stand uses 12-volt actuators which are used for medical beds or standing desks. This on the side is the control box which moves them up and down, also forward and backwards. The total length that monitors can go backwards is 30 cm, which is quite long. The vertical actuators are 15 cm. This gives me more than enough clearance when I'm using the full motion system. This is the highest position I can get now, which is less than the travel of the motion system. I'll have to deal with this at later point, but as you can see now, the soundbar is touching the bottom of the computer, so I can get it more up than this. I will have to deal with this at later stage. For now, it's more than enough to still provide me clearance with the motion platform. The Philips Hue lights also got relocated in the front of the monitor and work much better now. And this is how the monitors look in the most open position. Soundbar attached, I got about 9 cm vertical adjustment. This hopefully will give me enough clearance for the motion platform. I still haven't tested it. The whole idea of making this actuated adjustable monitor stand is to use it in two positions. One will allow me to use the full motion system and the other will place it right between the steering wheel and wheelbase for a perfect field of view position. This will allow me to use my VR with full motion when I decide to, or switch to the perfect field of view, especially while driving night or playing games which do not support VR. As you can see how my PC is currently mounted, it limits my vertical movement, so I will have to deal with it at some later stage. Now let's quickly retract the monitors in their perfect field of view position right behind the steering wheel. It takes a while, but I had to use slower actuators to hold all this weight. The vertical ones can move about 100 kg each. I used two of them. If they are not powered, they can hold still about 80 kg of weight. As you can see, outside is quite sunny and warm for December in Eastern Europe. Thus the grainy video, sorry about that. Now let's see what we have on the behind of the monitor stand. I needed the materials from the TV stand, so made somewhat a hybrid structure to hold it now. The newest addition to my pedal box is a SIMAGIC Haptic Reactor, which actually turned out to be great. I still will be keeping my rumble motors for extra effects. Moving upwards is my work laptop mounted on a tilted stand. On top is the gaming PC right above the IKEA cable tray. I added also some soundproofing, which I managed to get at very good price. In the end didn't help me much with the sound of my videos, but still looks cool. Another small addition is a switch to my wheelbase power supply, as I prefer it not being plugged in all the time. And here is a quick demo of the sliding pedal box. As explained, you have to push with your feet when you want to extend it. And another quick view at the latest addition to my steering wheel collection. All of this was 3D printed and the backplate is carbon fiber skinned. It has 26 buttons, 6 of them are on the rotaries. It also have addressable LEDs and the 7-segment display. Of course, it has my windscreen wiper paddle on the back, and all of this is driven, as I stated earlier, by a DIY Arduino Fanatic emulator. Now, in this playtime footage I will share some of my recollections and do a voiceover. First, I will start with the EA WRC game. At launch it had a rough start, but it was quickly fixed. Several patches were released to deal with the performance issues, but the main one was actually made by the community itself. It exploited the built-in Unreal 4 engine settings, and for me personally it fixed all my micro stutters. Since I switched to true triple monitors which are the same size, I am able to use NVIDIA Surround, play the game in full screen, so I am not experience any micro stutters whatsoever anymore. All settings are on ultra and I am getting a stable 90 to 100 frames per second in most of the stages. Also there is another community patch which deals with the triple support. It deals with the stretching over 3 monitors. It's still not perfect, but it's as close as it can be currently for real triple rendering support. It looks much better than Dirt Rally 2 and I'm quite satisfied with this kind of rendering support. EA WRC is regarded as an arcade game, especially by hardcore RBR fans. In my opinion, it is not fair to compare this title with a game which is almost 20 years old and is fixed by thousands of mods. Of course, RBR is more realistic and is hard to beat, but bear in mind this game was made for everybody, not only hardcore rallying simulator fans. The game still is quite good, very fun, and it's totally worth it in my book. Telemetry is extension of Dirt Rally 2.1 and it's much better than in all the WRC titles before. Displays and all other visual goodies of course are working, but the main benefit is the stages themselves. All my motion platforms and pedal feedback are working perfectly, exactly as I would expect based on what I'm seeing on the screen. All this motion and tactile feedback I have in my setup actually makes the game quite realistic. The other day I was driving my real car, which actually is featured in the title. Then I switched to the simulator and the feeling was exactly the same. I noticed the steering wheel control is very well represented and the way that it moved actually gave me the same feeling like I am driving my real car. Furthermore, I am quite impressed how the rally stages are represented in EA WRC. They are narrow, long, interesting and with overall more than 600 kilometers. It's quite new experience for a rally game. Also, after only a month after release, one of my favorite settings in Dirt Rally 2 is present here as well. Now your shifter configuration is based on the car you're actually driving and you have the option to automatically switch between sequential and H pattern mode based on the car you are driving. This feature I miss the most and it puzzles me why it was never included in the first place. But as if you remember, in Dirt Rally 2 it was the same upon release. This setting was added much later after the request of all the community. This time we are missing Rallycross though. This for me is a bummer because I really enjoyed it in Dirt Rally 2, but yet again what we can do, maybe it will appear someday. As far as I remember, when Dirt Rally 2 came out it was exactly in the same state and it was fixed later with upcoming patches and content releases. It seems to me that EA WRC is following the same scheme and I expect it will be a much better game after some more releases are pushed. Overall, EA WRC is a step up for me from Dirt Rally 2 and it's a fresh change of all the rally games I am playing. I am having a blast with it. And now I would like to share some thoughts on another new addition to my sim setup, the SIMAGIC Haptic pedal Reactor. It's quite popular upgrade these days and a lot of people added it to all kinds of different pedals. I myself had to make some custom solution to mount it to my Husingfeld Ultimate Plus. It's a pricey component, but it's totally worth it. I will be making a full featured video describing all of its benefits and how exactly it works, and will compare it with all the different exciters I have lying around and using on my setup. But here I will just make a quick summary and tell you what are my initial impressions. As I expected, it is based on a voice coil motor and it's not much different than an audio exciter. Main benefit here is it can actually operate at lower frequency than an audio exciter. If you set it up at about 25 Hz and put it on the brake pedal, it feels exactly like an ABS system. It's quite convincing and feels exactly like the real thing. I myself connected it with the original SIMAGIC controller just to test it and I'm driving it with SimHub. Currently I set it up mostly everywhere to represent wheel lock and in all games it feels exactly the same. Everywhere this made my braking much consistent, but as you can see it didn't help me right here to fail the daily challenges. Overall, for brake pedal this is very good addition and it actually improves your driving. It's totally recommended. For throttle pedal or clutch I'm not so sure it's needed. Based on the default settings I can see it set up to work at 40 Hz, which is something that an audio exciter can do as well. Based on initial testing with some of the exciters I already have, they are more powerful and cheaper than this haptic reactor motor. Also, if you opt for the SIMAGIC controller, you can put only one effect per actuator. I will definitely be keeping my rumble motors for additional effects. I have wheel slip effect on my throttle pedal from a rumble motor and on my seat from exciters, and I can say there is almost no delay between the two of them. So overall, for engine sound, gear change on wheel slip effects, rumble motors are still fine, and they are great addition to work together with the haptic reactor. As I said, more on this you can expect in a future full-time video. A lot of people said it takes forever to power up and shut down my rig, but it's totally worth it. I will use the shutdown sequence now as an outro to my video. This video ended up being longer than I expected, but I barely touched on all the additions that were done over the year. As always, all of them were shot on detailed video and are waiting to be edited, but between making new projects, editing and my normal day job, I don't have so much time to do all of it at once. All of these materials are patiently waiting to be edited and uploaded to my website. You can expect this happening over the next year. And what's coming up next as projects? First, I have to put back on the rig these two displays, but still have no idea where exactly to mount them. And now let's take a look what's on top of my kitchen cupboards. Mostly these are components for a custom DIY traction loss and search platform I will be adding to my rig. Hope you enjoyed this short presentation as much as I did making it. I wish you Happy New Year, even more inspiration and projects over the next one, and see you in year 24.